Hello, everybody. Welcome to Streetlight Babble. We'll be reviewing Captain what?
Captain Underpants, the first epic movie.
The first Captain Underpants movie. In my opinion, about 7 or so years too late. But you know what? We're the nostalgia generation now.
7 years too late. This movie was like 10 years too late.
This movie's like 10 years too late, but whatever. We have seen it. We saw it with our own two eyes. Actually, I saw it with one eye because one of my contacts fell out in the theater.
You did, yeah.
So I was to be like,
that movie.
This movie. No depth perception. Anyway, so the plot setup. This movie begins with two main characters,
George and Harold.
George and Harold, who are rambunctious little scamps.
Best friends.
Best friends, write comics together, live in a treehouse, are next door neighbors, go to class together, and most of all, they play pranks on the school, especially its principal.
Exactly. To be fair, though, the school is kind of equated to a prison, and they use the pranks to kind of make all their classmates happy.
So they prank for a noble cause, but one day they take it too far, don't they, Jake?
They do, and the principal catches them right in the act, and he uses the opportunity to put them in separate classes.
He doesn't bother telling their parents because he figures their parents are losers anyway.
Exactly.
Anywho, so as a last-ditch effort, they decide to use a hypnotizing ring they forged from molten plastic in the bowels of China to hypnotize him, and it works.
And
they hypnotize him to believe that he is the hero that they have written in their comics, Captain Underpants.
And so we have a movie. So, Chris, let's talk a little bit about our main characters in our Captain Underpants, the first epic movie. First off, we have George Beard and Harold Hutchins. Two very enthusiastic boys, and they do a very good job of selling the friendship between these. You can definitely believe that these guys, they're growing up together.
They're very believable as children, given that they take... Children tend to overblow things in their minds. It's especially small, innocuous things, and these two children, no matter how smart they are, they still are subject to that fault. Some big things children tend to take for granted, and they do that as well. So they're very, very well written as children, I believe.
I would agree.
And while still being very entertaining for the audience.
Yeah, they're both very high energy, but you can see how they both rationalize everything, which I always feel is a good thing whenever you're writing a character. Is you want to be able to see how and why they're thinking what they think.
It makes sense for them. The Captain Underpants, of course, the name,
the titular character,
the titular character. Everybody is saying titular nowadays on YouTube. Has anyone else noticed?
I have. I think people just
Why is everybody saying titular now? Anyway,
that sounds tantalizing.
It does. Tantalizingly titular. Alliteration. So the actor did a really good job because there are times where he's switching between the principal and Captain Underpants, and they have completely different voices. Captain Underpants is the generic superhero.
I will go save this citizen.
And the principal is actually a very more evil voice, like, I'll put you in separate classes. And he switches between the two very well. Very well acted. Each voice actor's every single voice is very distinct from the other one. You can always tell who's talking,
which is great, especially when for comedic effect, they kind of switch him on a dime. Like they'll snap their fingers and he snaps into Captain Underpants. Someone hits him with water, he changes back to the principal. And there's a scene where for like about 20 seconds he's just switching back and forth like on a dime and.
And it's very well animated, but we'll get into that later. The villain is
Professor P. Poopy Pants.
Therein, I shall also introduce that there is a lot of toilet humor in this film.
It's called Captain Underpants.
It's called Captain Underpants, so it is. It's more for children. It's not exactly within our age demographic. Now there are scenes that are some jokes that are kind of more for adults, and not sexual jokes. They're kind of jokes about the school system, just
jokes about parenting,
and such.
Just being an adult in life.
Which I guess that's they throw in some bones to the adults who are taking their kids to this film, which is fine. It's not exactly for my age demographic, so I didn't enjoy it as much as I would have if I was younger. But let's see what else. What's that nerdy kid? Melvin. He was one of my favorites. Just a humorless, nerdy, suck-up kid. I don't know. I would have hated him as a child, but now he's just hilarious to me. So
he was so funny. I kind of turned to Chris and I was like, "You're gonna love Melvin."
I did love Melvin. But yes, Professor Poopy Pants. Oh yeah, back on him. He was
brilliant scientist,
German, Albert Einstein sounding-ish evil scientist who is wants to take away people's sense of humor because he's upset at them for laughing at his name. Good on you, Professor Poopy Pants, because you don't want to change your name because you're proud of it. You want to change the world, and that. You are a rock in your ideals, and that is something I respect. So
yeah,
you know what? That's good.
Props to Nick Kroll and Ed Helms. Both of them are really good, really funny comedic actors that don't get a lot of spotlight. Ed Helms kind of more so recently, but Nick Kroll, by the way, is dating Amy Poehler. So that's a fun little fact for you guys.
I forget what she looks like, so I will just assume she's hot.
It's the main character in Parks and Rec. Blonde.
Oh!
Yeah.
That's her. Yeah, she's alright.
Anyway,
so the animation was very fast. It was, especially in the scene we talked about where they're switching in between Captain Underpants and the principal. It's very, very quickly done. The animation is very well done. A lot of money, time, and effort. It harkens back to what I assume is the source material of the comics. The 3D animation is very well. They don't try to make things look too real and dive you into the uncanny valley like movies in the early 2000s tried to do, which was horrifying.
Yeah.
They're
like, okay, we know this is a fictitious movie. We're gonna have fun with animation, and it's gonna be fast paced. It's gonna be high energy, and we're gonna throw a lot of stuff at you. So,
and it accomplished this. I think it did it rather well. Very, very colorful. Very pretty, good eye candy for your children. You wanna shut your children up for 2 hours. You'll take them to this film, and as I said before, you'll get some nice little jokes out of it. Some nice little adulty jokes, not necessarily sexual in nature, but
And there's other jokes in there too for both age demographics.
There are some jokes for both age demographics, but it is mostly geared towards children. So Jake, I am not exactly a poopy pants. Underpants Captain Man connoisseur, and you are, given that you have read them in your childhood, so I was more of a Goosebumps kid myself.
I like Goosebumps.
Well, you know what? That's just you're so proud of yourself. So how does it relate to the source material? Is it good? Does it capture the essence?
It does.
Of the source material.
It definitely does. I definitely had what I like to call a nostalgia wave kind of wash over me while I was watching the movie. It definitely really harkens to the meat of the story, which is the relationship between George and Harold. While, yes, there's kind of a lot of kooky adventures that go on around them, it's really about two boys and their friendship together, just having fun. They don't have to worry about adult problems like, paying rent or car payment or whatnot. It's two people who love what they do, and they are doing their hobby to the fullest.
Mm-hmm.
And they really did a good job of capturing the emotions that two 10-year-old boys will be going through who, might be losing out on their friendship forever. Which, it's it's heartfelt. You feel it tugging at those old heartstrings.
Yep. So I guess if you're a Captain Underpants fan or were as a child, maybe returning to this one will bring back those good old childhood memories for you. So final thoughts, Jake. I think, as I said before, in summation, it's a great children's film. It's probably the best children's film that's out right now. There have been a lot of children's films that come at little baby films that came out this year that have not been that great, and this is probably the best of them. So if you want to take your kids to it, go ahead. I'm guessing they'll really enjoy it. And you'll get a little bit of laughs out of it too.
Yeah, you definitely won't be bored.
You won't be bored during it as you do so. And I say, so for an adult, I can give this movie like a 6 or 7, maybe a 7, just because in relation to all these other children movies coming out, it's just much better. And for a child, this movie could be like an 8 or 9.
Yeah, I'd agree.
It's just it's just entertaining.
Yeah, I'd agree. I'd say definitely for kids, it's like an 8 or 9 out of 10. Definitely a don't miss for kids this summer. And for adults, yeah, I'd say like a 7 out of 10. You'll still have fun. You'll enjoy the movie. It's not a perfect kids movie by any means. It's not the next Lion King or Frozen, but for what it is, it's fun. It's a fun movie.
It's fun. So yeah, stay tuned because we're gonna dip into a little bit of spoiler territory.
A little bit, not as much as we usually do, but there's some spoiler stuff.
Yeah, we're gonna watch some spoiler movie.
All right,
get ready to turn on your apples, boys.
Yeah, turn on them Apple iPhones. Oh no,
Oopsie.
my